I'm not much of a fan of roller coasters, I can tell you that. I'd rather keep my feet on the ground, so to speak. If you're wondering what we're talking about, of course, in recent days, Francis and I have had many discussions about the rand, which has been on a roller coaster ride in recent days. Yesterday, it was pushed stronger by better than expected data on inflation. But today, it was once again weighed down, earlier at least, by our number of the day. Have a look at this. There it is. 4.8%. That's the number of the day, 4.8%, which of course is the current account deficit for the first quarter of the year. It stands at 4.8%, as you see it there, of GDP. Now, the current account is our account with what you can say the rest of the world. So a deficit means that we're spending more money abroad than we're making here at home. Often it occurs because we're importing from the rest of the world more than we are exporting. And so to pay for the exports, we have to sell rands and buy foreign currency, and that begins to affect our rand and weaken it. Of course, as I said, it's part of a basket of reasons why the rand has been weakened in recent times. But generally, there is a concern around exports, particularly of metals. This deficit was the largest in 2 years and much, much worse than was expected. And that's kind of what's been happening, is that we keep getting these numbers that economists haven't quite seen. So it did weaken the rand, but guess what? The currency has since bounced back. Now, Naledi Matlapeng has more on this issue of the current account deficit.
Investor sentiment in South Africa picked up after President Cyril Ramaphosa pledged to clean up poor governance. But a string of poor data, including the worst quarterly GDP contraction in 9 years in the first quarter, has raised concerns over the economy's recovery. The deficit is the largest since the first quarter of 2016 and wider than the 3.8% forecast by economists surveyed by Reuters. The quarterly trade balance swung to a deficit of 25 billion rand from a surplus of 74 billion rand as the value of exports fell sharply.
So the swing is 100 billion rands, and that's a massive amount. Now that started it going in the wrong direction, and already we're still seeing less demand for our exports and the cost of our imports. You say, why do we import? Because we've got to have fuel. We've got to import oil. That has gone up quite considerably over the quarter, and so that has worsened the trade account deficit
against the US dollar today. In response to the current account deficit, Cruikshanks says he expects this trend to continue in months to come.
Over the term between now and the next 6 to 12 months, I would not be surprised to see the rand weaken quite considerably. What's it mean to us? It means the cost of everything that we import is going to become more expensive, and that's not at all good to help our global competitiveness. In fact, it works the wrong way.
There's been a decline in the value of export, especially mining, due to the global decrease in the demand for exports. And Cruikshanks says the situation is likely to get worse as the trade war between the US and China continues. Naledi Matlapeng, SABC News, Johannesburg.